My name is Kimberly Dutton, and I am interviewing Ted Keller. It is July 7th, 2008. Please tell me how you came to Ashland.
Well, Kim, I came to Ashland as a student at Randolph-Macon in 1949. My cousin and my high school principal were both Randolph-Macon graduates, and they are the ones that influenced me the most. So I came here as a student in 49. I graduated in 1953. I went into the service, and then in 1958 I came back to Randolph-Macon as a coach and physical education teacher.
Did you live on campus while you attended college here?
I did live on campus. The first year on campus, I lived in what is called the Veterans Village. It was an old a part of the campus where we had many veterans with their wives living, and we lived right next door to them. After that, I did move to Mary Branch Dormitory, and I stayed there for my last 3 years.
What were some of your favorite classes that you took?
Oh, I was a history major, so I guess probably the history classes, George Brown Oliver and Dr. Mabry, probably were my two favorite professors. I did take some other classes during that time. I took Dr. McConnell's class, and also a couple of other classes that were really not in my major, but I really enjoyed.
Have you seen any major changes in the college from the time that you graduated from the time you came back?
The major changes, I think, probably, well, one thing I can tell you, I coached and taught here for 40-some plus years, and I went through 5 presidents. So that was I guess, one of the changes as far as I was concerned, dealing with the different presidents and, their different personalities. But I guess the biggest change was the fact that we started off small, probably 500 or 600 students when I was here. Right now we're at 1150, I believe, and the building has just been tremendous. We used to have what I call a lot of grass on campus, and now I guess it's mostly bricks and mortars. The buildings are really very, very nice, and we have some great facilities now as compared to a long time ago.
What were some of your favorite things to do when you were a student here?
Well, I was an athlete, and I played football and baseball, and I played 4 years of each. So that took up a lot of time. Athletics I joined the Kappa Alpha fraternity, and so that took up some time, and I really enjoyed that because we had probably the best house on campus, and I enjoyed playing tennis in my off time because that helped me get in shape. Of course, all the other things, we would date on weekends and do a lot of traveling to other schools and so forth. But my experience at Randolph-Macon was really great, and I'm glad I came to a small college.
What did you think about the town when you were here at college?
Well, the town was very, very small. And I'm not sure of the population, but I suspect it was probably that time between 1,500 and 2,000 people. Of course, you could walk downtown. It was very, very close. Maybe one grocery store and maybe a couple of pharmacies and a couple of restaurants. That's all we had at that time. compared to now, which you don't even have to go into Richmond. You can just get about everything you want locally. But the town was small, but we had a lot of friends, I would say, in town, especially friends that were connected to athletics. And I enjoyed getting together with them socially and have them come to the games. And, of course, we did as much shopping and got most of our, I guess, goodies, you might say, clothing and so forth, locally.
What were some of your favorite stores here?
Well, Barnes Drugstore, which everybody knows, and one of our biggest supporters at that time was a person who owned Barnes Drug Store for a long time. That was Tom Bishop, and he just died recently, but he was really a mainstay in the Ashland community. And right after that, I believe one of his helpers, Lee Parrish, bought Barnes, and we dealt with him for a long period of time. Of course, Cross's Grocery, that was probably one of the few grocery stores around, and one of the few that actually lets you charge there, and we did that. So that was quite a different situation at that time. But we tried to deal locally as much as we could. There was Flowers gas station, which was located on the main drag, and the owner of that eventually came to work for me at Randolph-Macon and worked in the athletic department. That was Billy Flowers. And there were several other local people who owned gas stations around that we dealt with, but we did try to deal as much locally as we could.
What do you think about the relationship between the town and the college?
Oh, well, I guess depends on whether you're talking about way back then or now. But I would have to say, at that time, I thought the relationship was really good, and I believe the reason is that most of the people in the town had friends that were teachers or coaches at Randolph-Macon, and therefore we got a lot of support. The situation later on, when I was the athletic director, and that occurred in 1982, was that I tried to reach out as much as I could to the local people. We had an awful lot of friends that came to see our games and traveled with us. We had deals for them when they wanted to buy season tickets, and we were always hosting some events that they could come to, and we could all get together. Our group of coaches, I know, socially interacted with a lot of the townspeople. Another factor was was Hanover Country Club. That was a local club that a lot of our people had joined, and one of the founders of Hanover Country Club was a man named Hunter Jones, who was an accountant in Richmond, and he also taught at Randolph-Macon and was also on the board of trustees. So we had some interaction there between the club and a lot of people in town. In fact, at that time, I'd like to say I was associated with three groups: Randolph-Macon College, the country club set, and also the townspeople. So there were a lot of things that I could do and go to, during the school year, and my wife and I tried to do a lot of things that interact with the local group.
Do you have any fond memories of the country club?
Yes, I do. When the club first started, it was only 9 holes of golf, and you played 2 sets of tees to get your 18 holes, and over a period of years it finally developed into 18 holes. And we have, I think, gone to many social events out there, which were very nice, including New Year's Eve dance and Christmas parties and things of that nature. And right now, we live out there, so we are closely associated with it. It's the golf course and the swimming pool are just 2 minutes from our house, so we do go over to the club a lot. And another thing we do is we take our kids and our grandkids to the club to use the facilities, and that's one of the joys, I guess, of our day.
Did your children grow up in Ashland?
Children did grow up in Ashland. One child was born in Winchester, Virginia, and at that time I was teaching in Fairfax. And I taught for a couple of years and then came to Randolph-Macon in 1958. And then the second child was born in Ashland. The good news is that both of them went to Randolph-Macon, graduated at Randolph-Macon, did really well. Son played 2 sports and got 8 letters. Daughter has a really good job in the Richmond area. In fact, she entered a job when she got out of school, and she still has that same job, which is very unusual nowadays. So they did grow up, and I think one of the benefits of the college was that they could use the college facilities, and that was great for them because they could use the gym, they could go to all the cultural events, and of course see my football games, which I was a coach for a long period of time.
Do you have any fond memories of any football games? Do any of them stand out in mind?
Well, I think a couple things stand out. I was the head coach for 18 years, and during that period of time, we played our rival Hampton-Sydney, and my record against Hampton-Sydney was 11-7. So that was one of the things that really stood out. I don't guess since I'm retired now, they can't take that away from me. The other major event was we went to a small college bowl game, and we won the national championship in 1969, and that was an event in itself. We played in Bridgeport, Connecticut over the Thanksgiving holidays. It looked like we were mismatched when we went into the stadium, but the final score was 47-28 in our favor, and we had a great game, and we had about 200 people follow us from Ashland to Bridgeport, compared to Bridgeport's, I guess, maybe 8,000 people. And the thing I remember was that our people made more noise than they did. And, of course, we did win the game, and it was a great ride home. But those are the things that I remember in football.
So athletics here have always been supported greatly?
I think so. We've had a lot of alumni support, townspeople support. One of the things that we were always battling was the budget. And, of course, everybody wants a part of the budget. Every other department on the campus. And and that was always a problem, getting enough money. Of course, later on, we did start up the Yellow Jacket Club, which helped out in the athletic realm. But early on, you had to fight for everything that you got, and of course, getting people in school and getting them financial aid. That was also a battle sometimes. But I guess if you work hard at it, eventually, you'll get most of what you want, and then you gotta deal with that. You got to play with what you have and do the best you can, and that's what we tried to do.
Tell me some more about the Yellow Jacket Club.
The Yellow Jacket Club was started in Richmond, and it wasn't at that time a part of the college. I would say maybe 25, 30 years ago. And the people that controlled it were just alumni, and they had their own budget, their own accounting, and it did not come under the college leadership. When I took over as athletic director in 1982, the first thing I did was get the Yellow Jacket Club under the college umbrella, because I felt like that we didn't want any outside people trying to determine the course of what we did or affecting our coaches in any way. So I did bring that under the umbrella of the college, and the athletic director actually took over the Yellow Jacket Club with a committee of alumni. So I believe I headed it up for, I don't know, somewhere between 14 or 15 years. But that was one of the small parts of my job. I'd say it was about a 20th of my job, so I really didn't get to spend a big amount of time on it. Nowadays, we have a director of the Yellow Jacket Club, and that's what he does, is raise money. So we knew that we could probably raise 8 to 10 times as much money by having somebody directly working on that. But the Yellow Jacket Club has been a big factor in athletics, and we host golf tournaments for mainly alumni. We have all kinds of events going on that the alumni can come to. We actually invite people out to see games at our expense. So the Yellow Jacket Club has become very, very big in the situation here in Randolph-Macon athletics. And right now, Jeff Burns is the director of the Yellow Jacket Club, and since he has taken over that a couple years ago, it has grown tremendously, and we're looking for great things from him and the club in the next years or so.
Have you seen any other major changes in athletics over the years?
Well, of course, the biggest change is that we took in women, and that was in 1971. Now, I was the football coach at that time, and the athletic director was Hugh Stevens. Women came into the picture at that time, and of course, what that did is it meant that we had to take all the money, that we had, put a little extra to it, and divide it up between the men and the women. And it was a real slow start. I think we started out with maybe one sport, and then we added another one, and then we added a couple more. So it took us a while to do that, and then we got into the Old Dominion Athletic Conference in 1976, I believe. And then finally, when I became the athletic director in '82, one of the other things, besides bringing the Yellow Jacket Club under our umbrella, that I wanted to do was to get the budget of the women up so that we could compete with other schools. And over a period of 5 years, I think I probably succeeded in doing that. And a little bit later on in the early 90s, the women really started coming on. Late 80s, I think, and early 90s, they started coming on and being a force in ODAC, especially in soccer and basketball. But I guess that probably was the biggest change. And of course, we got a new gymnasium in 1964, which was Crenshaw Gymnasium. Before that, we just had alumni gym, which, I guess only seated maybe 400 or 500 people. And so when we got into Crenshaw, that was a really big boost, and that has had many renovations over the years. So I guess that was a big change. And then the Brock Center came along, and that was a student building. But what it did, it took a lot of the traffic off of our gyms, and that made it better and easier for our own people to schedule. So I guess that's the story there.
Did the male students originally have a problem with the female students coming in?
I don't believe they did. In fact, I think they probably enjoyed it. I think we had maybe 50 or 60 the first year because we got started late. But I think after that, the male students probably really enjoyed it. I think this is what I noticed. I think it may have cleaned up the place a little bit, because I think the guys started, maybe dressing a little better and, keeping their dorms maybe a little bit cleaner and things of that nature. I think I will say this, one of the problems we had was space. Mm-hmm. And since I was the AD, it really was my problem, and I had to handle it. But we now have more teams, but the same amount of space. And we had got volleyball in the gym, women's basketball in the gym, besides men's basketball, which had always been in the gym. And that kind of created a problem in that we had to work longer in the day to get the practices. So there had to be practices at night instead of just being able to practice in the afternoon. And then you have, when one team is practicing, maybe the other team might have a game that same time, and then you had to work the times out there. And then we did get some new fields later on, whereas some teams were practicing. I believe the lacrosse team was playing on the football practice field, and that was a problem for a while because it just wore it out. So once we got more and better facilities, and we worked things out after that, but no question it was a problem for a while.
Have any of your students that you coach gone off to have successful athletic careers that you know of?
Well, I've had a lot of coaches, a lot of players go into the coaching field, and they're all over the state. In fact, one of my assistant coaches was the head coach at the University of Louisville. Some others have gone into the big time as assistant coaches in the major colleges. We have quite a few of my players go into head coaching in high school in the Richmond area, and have since helped me out in Ashland coaching. I got them back out here after they've been coaches in the Richmond area. One of the most successful coaches of the whole state of Virginia was one of my players, and he's at Patrick Henry High School, and his name is Ray Long, Jr., and he probably has as good a record as anybody in the state of Virginia. He's been an excellent coach, and he's still there. So we have had quite a few people go on and become successful. Now, the most successful of all might be one of my players who was with me in 68 and 69, and his name was Howard Stevens, who was the first black athlete at Randolph-Macon, and we recruited him for football. In his freshman year, he led the entire country in rushing and scoring touchdowns. And he was a great player in his sophomore year, and he was one of the mainstays when we played that bowl game and won the national championship. And he went on to play in the professional league, the National Professional League. And I think he played, I believe it was with Atlanta and then Baltimore, and he was in the pros for 6 years. And he still comes back and plays in our golf tournaments, and is still one of the good alumni that we have.
What other alumni organizations are there at the college that you're a member of?
Alumni organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a member of the Boynton Society. That's the new name for the old grads. And they have a weekend during graduation, and it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday during graduation. We go to graduation. We have 2 dinners, 2 lunches, meetings, and a dance. So that's one thing that's really neat, and those are people that have their 50th anniversary. So they are, that organization is very good, and we feel like that's probably one of the best things we do right now in college.
Do you see a lot of your old college friends at these meetings?
I do. And sometimes I don't remember their names. And the reason, most everybody will remember my name because they were here and I was one of the figures at the school. But, I've had thousands of football players, play football here and then come back, and I recognize just about all of them, but I can't remember everybody's name. I'd say I remember probably between 60 and 70% of their names, and I'm always hoping that they will extend their hand and say, "Hey, Coach, you remember me?" and then say their name, because then that takes me off the hook. But homecoming is, one of our best times when we have a lot of people come back. And we have special events too. The other event is the Hall of Fame, when a lot of people come back. And I am a member of the initial class of the Randolph-Macon Hall of Fame. And I'm also on that on the selection committee, which chooses the Hall of Fame. So we have a couple meetings a year. And these people come back at a dinner and are elected into the Hall of Fame. And usually there's a crowd between 200 and 300 people, and I see a lot of people then. But I'm over at the college quite a bit, and I see a lot of people.
What do you think is the most important thing about the college?
The most important thing, I would say, would be the educational part of it. That's why people come to school, is to get the good education, to be able to get a good job when they go out, marry and have families, and be able to support them. And So if they come and get the good education, that is very, very important. However, there are other things too that also help out, and I think maybe being in athletics and doing some other extracurricular things also will help you in your quest for jobs and doing other things or becoming important members of society in their particular town. But extracurricular activities, I think, increase your knowledge. They give you discipline, and they help you get along with other people. And to me, that's the key to the world today. You've got to be able to interact with other people in order to be successful.
Does it seem like a lot of the students have returned to live in Ashland after they graduated?
Some do. I'd say as a general rule, they probably move away. But I tell you, there are a lot of people from the Richmond area that's either stay in Richmond or they go away and get their graduate degrees or go away and work for a while and then they come back to Richmond. So we have an awful lot of students or former students living in the Richmond area and some, in Ashland. But they're all over. They're all over. I guess Virginia probably is the state that, has the most, but they're everywhere.
Tell me a little bit about town events such as parades or the Strawberry Fair.
Okay, town events. I know there's a 4th of July parade that just anybody can get in, and we have marched in that before with our grandchildren. So that is something that we enjoy doing, and of course we walk and they ride bikes, and then they go up and down, I guess, the railroad tracks on the street, and they end up, really having a good time. That is one of the things. Another thing, the Strawberry Fair. I was heavily involved in the Strawberry Fair early on by my position as athletic director. When the Strawberry Fair first started out, I think they came to Randolph-Macon and asked if they could use our facilities to have it. Well, the first years, Strawberry Fair was held on the athletic fields. And what we did is that we let them have it on the practice fields. Of course, the Brock Center wasn't there at the time, so we had all that grassy area. We did not allow them to get on the main football field because we played football just a couple months after that. But it was quite a task trying to, keep people off of the areas that we wanted to preserve. But it was on our fields, and I dealt with the town in regard to that because I was in charge of the fields. And it wore our fields out somewhat. We barely got them back in the fall, but we did interact with them in regard to this. And of course now it is held all through the campus, and a lot of it is on the street, which you don't beat the grass up so much when you have a lot of people walking on it. But this thing started small, and it has gotten larger and larger all the time. And I think now Randolph-Macon itself has quite a few booths. There's some athletic booths, and maybe the bookstore has something, and there are just a lot of things that we actually put out on the street in regard to this. But then it did move off of the athletic fields, which I felt like was a good thing. Other things that we have interacted with the town, and I can think of one right offhand, is that it was around Christmas time, and there was a charity ball that was held in Crenshaw Gym, and this was a black tie affair, and it was big time. And I dealt with some local people in regard to that, since the gym was under my control, and we got the dates for it and made sure everything was set up and all of that. That had a lot of town people involved in it, and in fact it was mainly local people who came to this charity ball, and in fact my wife and I went to it quite a few times, and that was a big event where we interacted with the townspeople. So we did a lot of that, especially during the time when I was the athletic director, because that's when I had charge of different places which other people wanted to use, and so we had to set all those things up, so forth.
Do you know of any other charity events that have taken place in the town?
Not any other charity events, but I do know this, in our interaction with the townspeople, we tried to do a lot of things that would, I would say, get them to either help us out or to support our programs. And one of the things we did is that we had sold season passes at a real reduced rate for local people that wanted to come to our games. We offered them different events that they could come to free. The Yellow Jacket Club started having things on weekends during football or basketball or soccer games that that they could come to. So we tried to do a lot of things, not all of them that the townspeople had to pay for in order to gain their support. Now we had golf tournaments, and right now we have a Yellow Jacket Club golf tournament, which is held in May, and we have a full field of 144 players, most of them being Randolph-Macon alumni or townspeople. And this tournament is held locally with a lot of good prizes, creates a lot of goodwill amongst alumni, townspeople, and the college. So that's one of the things that that we do, which I think is a really good thing.
What about the railroad track? How do you think that has shaped the town?
Well, the town is the railroad tracks, I guess. I know the railroad tracks really used to affect graduation some, because it seemed like when the speaker would get into an important part of his speech, it seemed like a train always came by, because it was held outdoors right on the tracks. Now that has recently changed, and it's not quite as bad, but I think Randolph-Macon is noted for the school that the train tracks run right through town, and that's one of our signatures. And I personally would not like to have that changed, even though sometimes I get stopped twice a day when I'm going back and forth to my home. But that's not too much to endure, I guess. But the tracks are a signature, and I think they belong here, and I hope that the train will keep running.
Do you ride the train often?
Very seldom. Very seldom. Yeah, we usually go by car.
Do Do you know of any interesting characters that have stepped off the train? Any strange visitors?
I can't think of any offhand right now. I know that some time ago there was a story about a president stopping in Ashland riding the train, but I even forget the name of the president or exactly when it was, but this was quite a while ago.
What do you feel about Ashland being the center of the universe?
I think that's great. One of my personal friends was Dick Gillis, who was the person who was the mayor of Ashland, and he's the person who set that title, I guess, for Ashland. But it's something that, people can hang on to. And when you're talking to people, a lot of times, I hear you're in the center of the universe. How do you feel about that? Well, I always tell them I think that's great. But it's something that a title is given to Ashland that people can remember. It has stuck, and I hope it continues to stick.
Who do you think are Ashland's most colorful characters?
Well, I can think of two. Now, this is over a period of time, but I can think of two. One was this was a long time ago in the 50s, was a little black boy, and his name was Snookums, and he was here when I was going to school, and he was here a little bit when I came back. But he wore a Randolph-Macon beanie, which all the freshmen had to wear during that early period of time. And they wore it until they beat Hampton-Sydney in football. Or if they didn't, then they had to wear it the rest of the semester. But Snookums always had a beanie. And he was one of the, favorites of the people. He was at every game. I believe he worked or was around a barber shop in Ashland. That was his home, so to speak. And he was one of the most colorful people around. Everybody knew Snookums. He was always doing something funny or unusual at the games. And he was really a character. The other was a person named With White, who was, I don't know whether a lot of people knew him, but the athletic fraternity on campus was the Commons Club. Those are people that didn't belong to fraternities, and they belonged to the Commons Club. And With was one of the people at the Commons Club who was always running errands and doing things for them. Kind of an errand boy. And he's another person who always was doing something either unusual, funny, and sometimes bad. But those two people, I guess, were the two that I remember most.
What are the major gathering places in Ashland?
Well, I would say Randolph-Macon College is one of the major gathering places. At basketball and football games, the Brock Center, of course, the church. There are quite a few churches in the Ashland area. Those are major gathering places. Myself, I'm Methodist. I was Methodist when I came from my hometown of Winchester. I stayed with the Methodist Church here when I was in college. When I came back to coach and teach, my family remained as Methodists at Duncan Memorial Church. So we have been staunch supporters of the Methodist Church. And quite a few people we have known in Ashland through the church. And our children went to the Methodist church. So that was another gathering place, I guess. Another place was the drugstores, which was Barnes Drug Store. And then another one was down along the tracks. And this place was it was back in the 50s. And it was called Ivy Blues. And that was the name of the guy who owned it, Ivy Blue. And I think that was maybe the local watering hole. It was located down along the tracks. I believe there's right now there's a wine store in the area, and then there's a big parking lot, and then there's a professional building. And it was right there where that professional building is located. That's where Ivy Blues was. And we used to go, the coaches used to go down there every once in a while, and it was a restaurant, and so we would eat, have sandwiches and maybe drink a beer or so every once in a while. And a lot of the town characters came into that place. So I guess it was a real interesting place at that time. Nowadays, I think, people, there's a lot of shopping centers around with restaurants. One of I guess the Smoky Pig is probably the most well-known in the Ashland area. Everybody comes there for barbecue, and they have since extended their menu to a lot of other things, but their barbecue is the thing that people recognize. And there are probably 30 times more restaurants in the area now than there were when I went to school. And those are probably the places where people congregate.
What do you feel about Ashland's expansion?
It was probably a good thing. If I'm not mistaken, they went from around 2,000 to 3,000 to maybe 6 to 7 in one lump jump, I guess. And it took in quite a lot of the outlying area that wasn't connected to the Ashland town at that time. And I think it was a good thing. There have been quite a few nice subdivisions around. And of course, Hanover Country Club is one of those. So the expansion was good for the Ashland area, I think. And of course, it was good for the town council and the budget and the people who run Ashland.
I would like to hear a little bit more about your experiences with Duncan Memorial.
When we first came to Duncan Memorial, of course, is when I was a student. I was away from the campus for between 4 and 5 years, and then I came back as a teacher. And at that time, of course, we joined Duncan Memorial as a family. All of our kids grew up in Duncan Memorial. We, I guess, went through maybe 8 or 9 pastors, some of which we thought were very good. We socialized with them. In fact, one of the pastors was a fellow named Jim Boyce, who is a prominent Methodist minister in Virginia. And he was a fraternity brother of mine, so that's our association there. And now all of a sudden he becomes our minister. And so I think he was one of the best that we've ever had. But we have had really good pastors at Duncan Memorial. We are heavily involved with the church. My wife and I started up maybe 6-8 years ago an organization for seniors called the Prime Timers, and we have probably 6 or 7 social events during the year. We have a group of about maybe 80 people. We go over to the Ashland Convalescence Center and hold a bingo game for them once a month. So, we do things outside of the social realm. Of course, I'm an usher. We help with communion. Our grandkids go to Duncan Memorial. And as I said before, we are heavily involved, and my wife does a few other things that are connected with the a church also. So it is our church, and we just love going on Sundays and seeing the people, and we do socialize a lot too with the people that at our church.
What kinds of other events do take place at the church?
Other events
or activities?
Well, there are dinners that are involved. In fact, we actually hold some ourselves for the prime timers. But on Wednesday nights, they have dinners, and then I think they have a class for that. Sunday school is early in the morning on Sundays, and we go to Sunday school and then have go to church, and then sometimes they have dinners when they have important meetings for the church members, and we usually attend those. Another thing we do for the church is that we have some youth groups that on special nights they are going to have some meetings, and we actually will go over and prepare dinner for them. So we'll get another couple from the church, and 4 of us will go over, and we'll prepare a dinner. Usually something easy, lasagna, spaghetti, something like that, salad, drink, dessert. And we'll have 15, 20 people there, and we'll actually serve it, and then clean up, of course. But and we also eat what's left over afterwards, which would be a little social event between the couples. So we do many things of that nature, and they're scattered, all throughout the year. There is a Christmas pageant at the church, which we attend because the grandchildren are in the pageant. So there are numerous things that go on that we do attend since we are heavily involved.
What do you feel about your church's role in the community?
I think the church plays a role. Not only is it a social role and a religious role, but it also plays a role in helping other people. For instance, one of our prime, couples in the church. No, there's 2 or 3 people. I guess 2 or 3 couples, and they are heavily involved in an organization which is right down the street from us called ACES, and it is our people in the church that actually, I guess you would say, run ACES, and they help so many people that are indigent, poor, can't find places to live, need food, need clothes. And we, in fact, take a lot of our clothes that we are not using to ACES so that, we can give it to they can give it to other people. But these people are in our church, and they actually run ACEs. And every once in a while in Sunday school, that will come up, as to, what we're doing. And this kind of fits in, to our Sunday school lesson. So the church is very, is active in the community.
I recently interviewed your girlfriend here in Ashland. What do you feel about that? Do you know who I'm talking about?
You're talking about Carlene Mitchell. You interviewed Carlene.
Mm-hmm.
You say, how do I feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carlene and Tom and Kathy and I are, I guess what you would say, are the best of friends. And we also, we go on trips together. We have a lot of fun. We've been everywhere, Hilton Head, Hawaii, and places of that nature. And that's kind of a standing joke between us. And I just want you to know that she's the one who started it. But everybody kind of goes along with it. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, everybody in Ashland may know. I'm not sure, because I think she has said something about it. But she's one of the local people in Ashland that I knew when I first came here. And in fact, I've probably known her longer than I've known my wife, and even longer than Tom. So we used to. I know she used to visit Randolph-Macon, and we used to socialize, some together. I can't remember exactly what we did, but it's been a lot of fun. And of course, they belong to the church, and they also belong to Barksdale Theater, which we like very much, and so we attend those things together. And it's been an exciting adventure with that couple. Now, this year, I've been elected as an officer to the Boynton Society, which, and Tom is the president. So he and I will be working together in regard to the old grads things coming up this year. And then probably in another 4 years, I'll be the president. I don't know who's going to be my assistant, but I may just ask Carlene to come along and be one of those officers. And that will really be a big time situation.
Okay, for my final question, what do you think makes Ashland so special?
I think it's I think the one thing is Randolph-Macon College. I think Ashland is known as a college town. Besides being the center of the university, it's known as a college town, and Randolph-Macon is the college in Ashland. So that's one thing that makes it special. There's two or three other things too. I think the people, as a general rule, are real friendly. They get along, with each other, and I think that is great. And I think they've got some shops that are very unique that you don't find elsewhere. But then you have to also go into the idea that Ashland is really growing. There used to be nothing on Route 54 from 95 to the college, and now you've got every restaurant you can think of almost, and filling stations, and just a lot of things that are around now that weren't before. So its uniqueness is not quite as much as it used to be, but I guess growth takes care of that, and I'm not against growth at all. I think, we need them, and I'm glad not to have to go into Richmond to do my shopping or to, to eat, at a restaurant. So, but it's a great place to do. I've always said it's a small town outside a big city. So you got what you want in a small town, but you also can go into a big city and get things that are not in the small town anytime you want to, and it's not very far.
Is there anything you would like to add?
Well, let me see. One thing that I might like to add is the fact that, our kids grew up in Ashland, and it was great that they could, have all of the things that, Randolph-Macon offered. They worked in Ashland. I know my daughter worked at the Holiday Inn. And I think my son, he worked in Richmond some, but also in Ashland. They played in Ashland. I know the summer youth leagues. There's a little league in Ashland. My son belonged to that. I helped coach it, and I was also the commissioner of the minor leagues in Ashland, and those are the little teeny guys, the 7 and 8 year olds, and I enjoyed the interaction there with all the parents, so forth. So there were a lot of things that that our kids did. I thought that was really neat. One more thing too, our interaction with the people in the town. Being a coach, I did get to speak at a lot of high schools, so I did interact with a lot of people there, and especially with local coaches. There were 2 local coaches that I especially remember. One is Lou Flanagan, who is a big-time realtor in the Ashland area, and he was the basketball coach at Patrick Henry, and he lives out at Hanover Country Club, and that's where I live, so I interacted a lot with him and still do. And, of course, the other is Ray Long, who is still the coach at Patrick Henry and was one of my favorite players and good friends. Local theater, it's a shame that they don't have the theater now, because I know the students would enjoy it. I think back then when we had the opportunity to go to the theater, I'm not sure what admission was, but it was probably a quarter or 50 cents or something like that. And that was great for townspeople and students. They could afford it, and they could, they could walk and so forth. And that is one thing I think that we really, really miss. And then we interacted a lot at the school with the radio station, which broadcast our basketball and football games, and namely Jay Pace, who was with the Herald Progress, and P.K. Perrin, who was an alumnus of the college, and he also helped call the football games along with Jay. But we did have a lot of interaction with them. And I guess that's about it. We've enjoyed living in Ashland. I had thought about going back to my hometown of Winchester, Virginia, which is a great town, to retire. But since all of our kids are in the area, and all of our grandkids are in the area, and we do have 10 grandkids and 1 great-grandkid, and they're all here right now, but one who is in Florida. It's just hard to leave and get away from them. So we're very happy to be here. And my wife Kathy and I really enjoy all of the things that we participate in, the church, Randolph-Macon Country Club, and, seeing the townspeople.
Thank you very much.